This is Sadie Valeri. This is my painting wax paper 2. I'm drawing directly on the canvas for my underdrawing. I'm starting out with a general block in and then refining the contour as much as possible to get a very detailed drawing. The more I figure out now, the easier it will be when I paint. And now I'm doing the underpainting. For the underpainting, I just use black and brown paint, and I just use the white of the canvas for white, and I mix it with a lot of turpentine. I spend about 2-3 days on the underpainting, making sure that I get all the range of values. This whole painting took about 60 hours, and this video is about 6 minutes. Now that the underpainting is done, I'm going in with more opaque paint using white instead of turpentine. You can see I'm doing more detailed things now where I lean on the maul stick. The maul stick is a rod that helps me support my wrist while I paint. Here you can see I'm doing more detailed paint. As you can see, I'm putting in a pretty full range of values. And I'll go in later and make this more subtle with layers of glazing afterwards. Right now I'm just trying to block it in and generally decide on the values. Here's my palette, the way I have it set up so that I don't have to move very far. I'm doing another layer of painting over the crumpled part of the wax paper. I'm really trying to make sure that it looks transparent and subtle. It's going to take a lot of layers to get it to look the way I want it to look. I really like how the bottle shows through the wax paper where it's twisted around the neck. You can see the structure of the bottle underneath. As you can see, I've put in some colors on the picture. Those are the colors that I see, but they won't show up as obviously at the end. I just want them to sort of glow through. And I'm refining the shape and the drawing of it as I'm doing the painting. And the more detail I get, the more I'll be able to replicate the surface of the pewter pitcher. And now I'm working on the wax paper again and going through with my tweezer, which has a magnifying glass on it, to get any dust out of the painting. The wax paper is the most difficult part. This is a hard part where it sticks out over the lip of the edge because I really want it to look like it's coming out towards us, so I spend a lot of time on this area. One of the things that I like about wax paper, it's challenging because it's reflective and shiny and also transparent. Tissue paper is a little more matte, but wax paper actually has a little bit of reflective gleam to it. But it makes it challenging because I have to do full highlights all the way up to the whitest white I can get, which tends to make it look chalky. But I don't want it to look chalky, I want it to look translucent. So I spend a lot of time trying to find that balance between the whitest whites and the darkest darks and getting everything to work well together so it actually looks translucent. Here I'm doing the details of a little bit of rust and decay on the bottom of the pewter pitcher and trying to get in all the real subtle details of all the crinkled paper. As you can see, the light has really changed. In San Francisco, when we have a foggy day, it really affects the color of the light in my studio. Even though the forms seem sort of random, they have to be very specific to show the structure of the glass bottle inside. And the values have to show that that glass bottle inside is actually transparent. So there's a lot of light shining through both the wax paper and the glass bottle. Now I'm doing a lot more details at the top. I spent about half a day on the front surface of that sheet hanging over the front edge. I wanted it to have some detail, but not so much that it would be distracting, since there's plenty of detail in the rest of the painting. Doing some final refinements on the highlights on the pewter pitcher, and the highlights and the shadows on the wax paper. This is the last day. I had a lot of fog that day covering up the light coming from my skylights. So you can see the light is sort of blue. And here's the final painting. This is pretty accurate to the color of the final painting. The painting is wax paper 2. You can see on my website. I also did wax paper 1. And please visit my website, sadievaleri.com. And thanks for watching my movie.